My brother told my parents I sold my share of Dad's company for cheap, when in reality, I never sold it at all. He forged the papers and took everything behind my back. But the day I found out, I swore he'd regret ever calling me the dumb sister. Before we continue, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because what happens next will make you question your own family's loyalty. When Dad passed away, he left his small logistics company to both of us, me and my older brother, Ryan. But somehow, Ryan convinced everyone I had already taken my cut and moved on. Mom looked disappointed, saying, "Monica, why would you sell your part? Your father trusted you." I stood there frozen. I had no idea what she was talking about. Ryan acted innocent, even patting my shoulder. "You signed the papers yourself, remember? Maybe check your emails next time before blaming people." His smirk told me everything. The next few weeks, I became invisible in my own house. My family treated me like the selfish one who abandoned Dad's legacy. Ryan took over the office, hired his friends, and posted pictures online like he was the visionary CEO. But here's what no one knew. I had access to Dad's old hard drive. And inside it, I found something that could destroy Ryan's little empire. A voice note Dad recorded just a week before he died. The moment I played it, my hands started shaking. Dad's voice said, "If anything happens to me, Monica owns 50%. No changes are valid without her signature." Ryan's forged deal was about to blow up in his face. The next morning, I walked into Ryan's office unannounced. His face went pale like he'd seen a ghost. I dropped a USB on his desk and said calmly, "Play it." He hesitated, pretending to stay cool. But when Dad's voice echoed through the room, "No changes are valid without Monica's signature," his smirk vanished instantly. Ryan's jaw tightened. "You think this will change anything? The company's already mine, Monica. You have no proof that file is real." I leaned forward, whispering, "Oh, it's real. And guess what? The lawyer who drafted Dad's will has the original copy." His confidence cracked like glass. But I wasn't going to expose him yet. No, I wanted everyone, our entire family, his friends and the board members, to witness his downfall. So I told him I wanted to make peace and suggested we throw a family dinner to celebrate Dad's memory. He agreed instantly, too blinded by arrogance to see the trap. For the next week, I played the perfect sister, smiling, helping with preparations, acting like I'd moved on. But behind the scenes, I was working quietly with Dad's old attorney, setting everything up for the big reveal. On the night of the dinner, everyone was there. Mom, aunts, cousins, even Dad's former business partners. Ryan stood at the head of the table giving a speech about loyalty and legacy, while I sat quietly, recording everything on my phone. Then he said something that almost made me laugh out loud. Dad always said I was the one he trusted most with the business. I took a deep breath, smiled and said, "That's interesting, Ryan." Because Dad's last message said something completely different. Every head turned toward me. The moment Dad's voice echoed through the speakers, the room froze. "If anything happens to me, Monica owns half of the company. No one, not even Ryan, can make changes without her approval." Every face turned pale. Mom's glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the floor. Ryan's fiancée, Claire, looked at him with disbelief. He stammered, That's fake. She's manipulating everyone." I stood up slowly, looking straight into his eyes. "Fake? Then explain this." I pulled out printed copies of the will, stamped and signed by Dad's attorney. Ryan's name was nowhere on the ownership transfer. It was clear. He forged everything. Mom gasped, "Ryan, tell me this isn't true." He tried to smile. "Mom, she's jealous. She's trying to ruin my name because she couldn't handle Dad trusting me more." That's when Dad's lawyer, whom I had secretly invited, walked in through the door holding the original documents. "Actually," he said, "Mr. Taylor, the only one who betrayed trust here is you." The silence that followed was suffocating. Ryan's face turned red, then white. His voice cracked. You can't prove I forged it. The lawyer placed a file on the table, containing digital records, timestamps, and Ryan's fake signature pattern. Every lie he told over the last year started falling apart right in front of everyone. Mom's voice trembled. Ryan, how could you do this to your sister? To your father's memory? He couldn't look at her. He just whispered, I needed the money, Mom. The business was drowning and Monica didn't care. I interrupted. Didn't care? You never let me near it. You made me look like I sold my part, just so you could play hero. You lied, manipulated everyone, and took everything that wasn't yours. The room was thick with tension. Everyone stared at him, disgusted. His friends slowly slipped out of the room, one by one. But I wasn't done yet. I took a deep breath and said, Ryan, do you remember when you laughed at me for working on my little side project? You called it worthless. He frowned, confused. What does that have to do with this? I smiled coldly. That side project is now a logistics tech startup. And last week it was valued at $12 million. The investors? Dad's old clients. The ones you ignored. The sound of gasps filled the dining room. Even Mom covered her mouth. Ryan looked like he'd been punched in the stomach. You built a company? He whispered. I built our father's vision, I replied firmly. The same vision you tried to steal. I leaned closer and said, You didn't just lose your half. Ryan, you lost your reputation, your credibility, and the respect of everyone in this room. Ryan's entire world began to collapse that night. The whispers around the table turned into open accusations. Everyone wanted answers. His friends, the same ones who used to brag about being close to the CEO, suddenly backed away, pretending they barely knew him. Even his fiancée Claire looked disgusted. Claire stood up, her voice trembling. Ryan, you told me you built the company from scratch. You said Monica left it all behind. He reached for her hand, desperate. Claire, please, I can explain. She snatched her hand away. Explain what? That you lied to your family? That you stole from your own sister? You're pathetic. And with that, she walked out, leaving him humiliated in front of everyone. Mom couldn't even look at him. I raised you better than this, she said, tears filling her eyes. You didn't just betray Monica. You betrayed your father's memory. Ryan tried to regain control, his voice cracking. Fine, you all want the company, take it. I'll start over. I crossed my arms and replied calmly, You can't. The board already received the legal documents. You're being removed as CEO effective immediately. His face went white. You can't do that. The lawyer spoke firmly. Actually, she can. It's all within her legal rights. Everyone watched as the man who once mocked me stood speechless, trembling with rage and shame. He stormed toward me, yelling, You ruined everything. I didn't flinch. No, Ryan, you did. I just showed everyone the truth. The board's chairman, an old friend of Dad's, approached me and said, Monica, your father would be proud. You've proven yourself as the real leader of this company. Those words hit me harder than I expected. After years of being called the useless one, hearing that felt like justice itself. As Ryan turned to leave, I said one last thing, loud enough for everyone to hear. Ryan, I'll give you one last chance to do the right thing. Admit what you did and apologize. Right here, right now. He froze, his pride fighting against his guilt. Everyone waited. The silence was unbearable. Finally, his shoulders slumped and he dropped to his knees. I'm sorry, Monica, he whispered, his voice breaking. I lied. I forged the papers. I just wanted it all to be mine. I'm sorry. Mom burst into tears, and for the first time I felt the weight lift off my chest. Not because he apologized, but because the truth was finally out. My hands trembled as I opened the envelope the lawyer handed me. Inside were bank statements, transactions, and legal notices, all under Ryan's name. My heart sank as I realized what he'd done. He hadn't just stolen my share. He'd mortgaged Dad's entire company and used it as collateral for his personal debts. I looked up at him, my voice shaking but firm. Ryan, you didn't just steal from me. You sold Dad's company behind everyone's back to cover your gambling debts? The room went silent again. Mom gasped, holding her chest. Ryan stammered, I had no choice. The business was falling apart. No, Ryan, I interrupted. You were falling apart. You destroyed everything Dad built because of your greed. The lawyer cleared his throat. Fortunately, Monica, since the documents were forged, those transactions are invalid. The assets legally revert to you as the rightful owner. Ryan's face crumbled. His last hope, his last lie, all gone. He dropped to his knees again, tears streaming down his face. Please, Monica, don't send me to jail. I'll do anything. For a second, I almost felt pity. Almost. But then I remembered all the nights I cried myself to sleep. All the humiliation. All the times he made me feel worthless. I looked him in the eye and said, You wanted everything, Ryan. Now you'll get what you truly deserve. Nothing. The lawyer handed me the final ownership papers. Everyone stood and clapped quietly, not for the drama, but for justice. The weight that had suffocated me for months finally lifted. A few weeks later, I officially relaunched the company under a new name, Taylor Legacy Logistics. I hired a new team, people who believed in hard work, loyalty, and integrity. The company started booming again, this time stronger than ever. As for Ryan, he left town. No one's heard from him since. But sometimes late at night I think about him. Not with anger, but with peace. Because some victories don't need revenge. They just need truth. Now, when people ask how I turned my life around, I tell them one thing. Never let anyone steal your worth, even if they share your last name. And that night, as I looked up at Dad's photo on the office wall, I whispered, I did it, Dad. Your legacy is safe.